jump in. Recreational cheerleading. What is recreational cheerleading?
It's basically, it's not so much recreational, but it's competitive cheerleading, and the recreation is just a division that we do. So competitive cheerleading is basically a sport in itself, and it's actually a sport that's being added to the Olympics, and there's stunting and jumps and tumbling and dance all within a certain amount of time of a routine, and it's judged, and you compete against people from all over the world, really. So recreation is just like a division that we're in from, you know, there's all-star, there's novice, there's prep, there's rec, there's Pop Warner, stuff like that. High school, varsity, bunch of different levels.
Wow. So Olympics, what year is that coming in, or is it already there?
I haven't seen it yet, but it was just announced, I want to say this past year. It was a big announcement that they said, so hopefully, I don't know if they're probably do it a summer Olympics is what I would imagine, but there's starting USA teams across the country, and it's pretty exciting.
That's cool. That'll give your kids motivation to maybe push for that.
Yeah, you know? And there's some really talented kids out there. So
now I'm interested, like with the colleges that do cheerleading, is this the same? Like, could your students go and apply to a college to do 100%. Cheerleading?
Yeah, 100%. You can get full ride scholarships. A lot of males have that opportunity a lot easier than females, because having a male on the team, if you've ever watched those college ones, they can really throw and put these people in the air and hold them on one hand. And but yeah, it's a great opportunity to do something you love while getting an education. So it's really great.
I know like the athletic abilities of your students, but then at the collegiate level is like high.
Yeah, the collegiate level is pretty insane. They go 3 tiers high, and they're able to do a lot more than we are. When it comes to all-star, there's a bunch of different levels, and you have to stay within your levels, and it gives you like rules of what you can and can't do according to what level you're on. But collegiate, I feel like I don't know the details of collegiate, but it's like anything goes, it looks like. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I know they're like their athletic builds though, like they're like serious, you know, athletes, which is freaking cool. How long are the routines that you guys do? I know
the one we are is 2 minutes 30 seconds of all music. If you do other ones, I believe it's like 2 minutes, and then there's like traditional rec, which is 1 minute 30 of music, but 30 seconds of cheer. So it kind of evens out, but depends what level you're on and what division you're in.
What interested you? Like I know here, like we have the story, like with the gym and what got things started, but like with the cheerleading and like tumbling, what interested you like to even jump into that?
My son did Pop Warner, and he was a Mighty Mite, which I believe is like age 8, somewhere in there. And they had no coach, so they asked around the parents, and I was like, well, I used to do it in high school. I work with kids a lot, and so I jumped in and learned, and I was there for 5 years through Waterville Pop Warner. And then when I left that, because all of my kids were aging out, I had the bug, so I was like, I got to do something. And I had taken my kids from the team, and we had gone to like I don't know, to the next level where we were going to go to Jersey and all that stuff. And so they wanted to keep going, and at the end of the year I had taken them to a gymnastics place, just to kind of, they had trampolines and all that. So I wanted them to feel what that felt like to go there. And the person that owned that facility came up to me and was just like, you want a job here? And I was like, I don't really know a lot about gymnastics, just cheerleading. And she said she would teach me anything I needed to know. And so that's kind of where that whole thing started. And I worked there for a while and learned a bunch of stuff as far as tumbling goes and the correct way to do it. And here I am.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
I know there's a lot of sports in today's world, and like endeavors that kids can choose to go down for different paths. Why do you think kids are attracted to the cheerleading side?
Well, it's the competitive, obviously, and then it takes a little bit of everything. When I was younger and I was in elementary school, I used to love to during recess, we would go and do cartwheels and bridges. And I never did a day of gymnastics or anything in my life. So I think a lot of kids are really into that, and boys as well. I do the tumbling classes over there, and there's more boys coming in all the time. It's actually great for if you want to do sports. I had a child that was doing lacrosse, and he came and he did some tumbling, and after he was done with the class and went back to the lacrosse, the coach had said, I don't know what you've been doing, but keep doing it. It's great for your flexibility and your strength. And boys especially get really tight in their shoulders, and it's hard for them to do a lot of flexibility things. And so you're into baseball, football, whatever, throwing that ball, that flexibility in your shoulders can be great for your sport. So
yeah, and I want to emphasize for everyone listening, like basic tumbling and basic gymnastics, I think benefits all endeavors.
Yeah.
Not just life, like as an adult, right? But like sports, muscular imbalances, the whole deal, and like true physical strength.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm amazed at the number of kids that can't do a forward roll.
Oh yeah.
Or a back roll.
Yeah.
Or are so poor in balance, right? Because like we grew up playing outside and building forts and all that. Now a lot of this generation doesn't have that, and they what we would consider like easy when we were a kid is now having to be coached by you and tumbling and all of that for these children.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
But yeah, for parents listening, like I think it would be very, very important for their kid to look at basic tumbling. You know?
Absolutely. As a fundamental, like I have my biggest classes are 4 and 5 year olds and the level 1 and then walkover. Those are my big classes.
Sure.
And then people, they tend to either fade out, go to another sport, whatever.
Sure.
But that's built their base and their, you know, meat and potatoes of like the beginning of their
for sure
athletic career or whatever they're going to do.
My dad told me years ago, I remember, like you have a window in development.
True.
And then when you miss that window, the stage is sort of set for the rest of your life. It doesn't mean you can't improve or whatnot.
Right.
But that base of like, you know, 0 to like 8 years old, I think dictates like so much long-term, you know, 40, 50, 60 years old. Because we've seen it here at the gym where we're working with like say 14 or 15-year-old that had no base prior. And it's like, man, like
you got to go backwards a lot. Yeah,
you got to go backwards. But then even though I'll go even farther to say the potential of that kid is not as much as it could have been, right?
100%.
But we see 3, 4, 5-year-olds, right? You see them that are building that base, and then oh my gosh, when they're 12, 13, 14, they're like freaks, you know, or not even. Let's just say they're healthy, right? Yeah,
and they're I wouldn't say they're fearless because some, you know, as you get older, your fears develop. But like just that simple thing of being on a barrel and going backwards, like that's scary to an older kid, really scary. But a younger kid, you know, and they feel that from the very beginning. Wow.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of going backwards. They kill that fear right in the beginning if they start young. So
and when you look at like development, mobility, joint resiliency, all of that, if the brain knows like at a young age, okay, we're going to be doing this, it adapts to that.
It does.
But if it adapts to just sitting on the couch and, you know, whatever, then that's the result. That's what you're going to get. And I always think of it as like bulletproofing your body.
Oh,
you know, and tumbling definitely is that.
Well, it's funny you say that whole going backwards thing. Like right now I have a dad team and we started, I started with some basic tumbling and man, we're talking about some bear crawls and some forward rolls and all that stuff. And those men have grown so much in the last, I don't even know when I started this, like January maybe, but they're doing forward rolls, handstands, cartwheels, like, and they're loving it. They actually asked if I could keep going through the summer, even though we're done after this weekend for a little bit. And they can't wait for the next season. And
so I want to, so for listeners, so you have a dad, competitive, right? They compete.
There isn't anyone to compete against. So right now they're just exhibition.
Okay.
But they're hungry. They're like, we want competitors.
It's cheerleading.
It is.
Okay. So explain to the listeners like what this did, because this is new. Like
it is. Yeah.
So what is that?
So I saw a video years ago, this dad team for this cheer program, and they ended up on the Today Show. But they went out and did a routine, and I was like, and they do a little bit of this at competitions. They'll call the parents out and have a daddy daughter, daddy son, whatever moment, and you'll compete doing just little things, and it's funny. Well, people took that to the next level. We've taken that to the next level and made a whole routine. Same as the girls.
Yep.
And they don't have any rules because they're exhibition, but I'm sure if it became competitive, there'd be those rules set in place. So every time they've not competed, but they performed twice now. So they're about to do their third one on a national stage. This is a national competition we're going to in Hershey. And so they were like, let's do it. Let's take it to the next level. Let's make it harder. And so now they're twisting, they're throwing them basket tosses in the air. They're twisting out of those. And they're really excited. So they do all the stuff, the jumping, the tumbling, the dance.
Yep.
So yeah, all that. They're excited.
When you created that and you first told me about that, the first thing I thought of was the parent being the example. Right?
Oh yeah.
And I think for their kid, right?
Yep.
This is a reoccurring theme where we have maybe parents that are active or with a healthy lifestyle, but they want their kid to be healthy.
Right.
And, and I know everyone has the best intentions, but I think the best way to teach the kid or your kid is through the example of doing it. And now seeing these dads do that, practice and sweating and bear crawls and competing.
Yeah.
Their kid, they don't need to sit their kid down and say, hey, Johnny, like, do this. They're just living it.
Yeah. And even more so, like, it's created a respect for their child.
For sure.
Those dads are like, whoa, yeah, it's not as easy as I thought it was. And the child feels a sense of like pride and like, see, I told you, it's not easy. And the growth and the relationships that I'm seeing developing, I have stepdads in there with their stepchildren, and their bond has grown, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. That's all right. Well, we're seeing the Today Show.
Even brothers
are
in there that play Pop Warner, and they're up there flying, some of them, and they're just like, I have one child that wants to come and do it on the team next year. And I'm like, bro.
That's amazing.
So that's pretty cool.
Today Show. We want that.
Today Show. I reached out to Fox. They didn't respond. So
that's all right.
We'll see what happens.
Sure. All right. I want to get into just a few specific questions. When we look at depression and anxiety in our youth, right? This is like this is a growing trend. What do you think it's going to take for parents and kids to reverse that upward trend of kids are having mental health issues more so now than maybe when we were kids? The CDC has this, it's all data. What do you think a solution is to start fixing that?
Well, I have anxiety myself. And, I've learned a lot of things throughout the years, breathing techniques and getting busy. One of my biggest things was getting busy, getting your mind out of that spot where you're starting to obsess over, what it is that's making you worried. And so I would go and do things, craft, go outside, it depends whatever it is that makes you happy.
Sure.
What I'm noticing with my kids is, and there is a lot of anxiety, especially just in general with today's children, but my door is always open. I have almost, like a therapist to these kids. Like they come in, they talk to me. I have a child that calls me almost daily when she's having panic attacks, and I talk her through it. Getting them to the gym, they tell me that it's their only safe space.
Sure.
They'll tell me things that they don't tell their parents, which, I think a parent's role is huge, but if that's not possible, coming to me is a great option. I love that that's available for them, and I'm always there if they need, and parents love that. It's a great way to get them busy, get them changing their mindset. And it also has them face their fears about things and they learn how to cope with that anxiety that builds up just before they go on that floor, or the anxiety about going backwards or doing a handstand. Like I have some kids that start and they say, I can't do this. I can't. And they end up, they can, and they surprise themselves, and it's amazing.